This is the Specialized Stumpjumper FSR Comp Evo. As you can probably see, it rolls on 29-inch wheels, and the Evo part of the name means that it's actually got a slightly longer travel fork and a generally more aggressive setup than the standard Stumpjumper. So up front it's got a 140mm RockShox Revelation fork that's paired to 135mm of travel out back. The rear end, as you'd expect from a Specialized, is a 4-bar horsed system, and the rear Fox shock actually features their extremely neat auto sag feature. That really simplifies setup. Basically you just pump the shock up, then you open a secondary valve and then sit on the bike, depress it, and then that's it, that's your sag setup. It's really good. Again, you might want to fine tune it a little bit, but for most people from there it's good to go. It also uses Specialized own brand tyres, which we really like. Up front there's a Butcher, which is a good aggressive tyre, plenty of edge on it. And out rear there's a semi-slick Slaughter rear tyre, which has again got a good shoulder on it, but has much lower profile centre tread, so it rolls really nice and fast. And that's paired to, again, Specialized own brand Roval wheels, which it's usually a shortcoming of 29ers, that their wheels are more flexible, which means much more deflection in rough terrain. But the Rovals actually do a really good job of preventing that. They're nice and wide, they're tubeless ready, and we're really rather impressed with them. We found that the Stumpjumper's back end, although it's not bad by any means, found it was a little bit harsh off the top, and even then it wouldn't quite give us full travel when we were hitting things. That's not a bad thing by any means, but just fair it, so it feels a little bit stiffer and it can slap off the top of bumps a little bit more than some of the other plusher bikes here. On the flip side, that does mean that it's got very good pedalling manners. Despite the alloy frame and inevitable weight increase of having 29-inch wheels, it's actually a pretty good all-round bike. If you're more into sort of like kind of flatter, faster flowing trails, then it's really very good. Even despite the Evo name and it having a slightly longer fork and therefore slightly slacker head angle, this isn't a slack, chop it out bike by any means. And we did find that when it was pushed on really steep terrain, that steeper head angle and again the slightly bendier Revelation, say compared to a Pike on the white, meant that you could definitely get yourself into a bit more trouble and it wasn't quite as easy to get out of it. Elsewhere though, the spec is really rather good. You've got Shimano's Dior brakes. They're not fancy, but they're proper no-fuss stoppers. You've also got a SRAM X9 drivetrain, and that's mated to a PressFit 30, which is much larger diameter bottom bracket shell. There are some downsides to this. People say the bearing life can be a bit of an issue, but we haven't found it to be too much of a problem here. Even though it's a double setup, it actually features Specialized really rather neat little chain guide, which just holds the chain underneath it, and we didn't have any problems with dropping the chain while we were riding it. The bike also comes with Specialized own brand command post dropper post, which we really like. It's a 3-position dropper rather than the stepless RockShox Reverb or the like. That's actually really rather good. It's pretty easy to find, and if you just want to shift it down a little bit so it can get pedaling, it'll do that, and if you want it all the way out of the way, you can just shift it down very quickly and easily. On the downside, it is still externally routed, which again just means there's a bit more flappy cable hanging about. It does make it easier to get the post in and out of the frame. But that said, it's still an excellent bike, and if you're looking for something that's going to be able to hit sort of like moderately technical trails as well as the super fast and flowy stuff, and you really like the extra grip and support the 29 it gives you, then it is still a good bike.